Hey viewers and viewresses, my name is General Red Strategist and welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. This is episode 624. So, got the episode number right this time, unlike I think it was the last one where I kept sort of fluffing it up and saying, well, I didn't keep fluffing it up, actually, did I? Well, okay, there you go, I've already fluffed up the intro, ladies and gentlemen. I misremembered what happened last time at the start of the previous episode, and then ballsed up, right. Well, no, what I was trying to say is, I fluffed up the intro in the last episode and thought it was frigging episode 200 and something. And so I ended up saying that, and it was like, no, it's episode 620 something, Red. But no, you can trust me, my mouth will get kind of ahead of where my brain is, and then I'll end up saying something and then instantly having to go back on myself to say, well, actually, no, that's not quite what I said last episode, that's not quite what I did, actually, I did this. What a frigging way to start the video, ladies and gents. But we're back here on the same map as the previous video, and we're just going to have another podcast-style episode as we go around collecting device pieces and all that. My inventory actually is kind of jam-packed full of crap, which I don't need anywhere near this much of. So we might as well seek to use some of that up. Fucking 8 bottles. What do I need 8 bottles for? Not really anything. Now, I hope, of course, that you guys are doing well, and that you're back for another chill little episode of So You're Being Hunted with me and all that. Device piece off over there. Probably use a few of my bottles on that one. Now, a little bit of interesting sort of viral video news, and, you know, by the time this video goes out, it probably won't even be that sort of relevant anymore. Oh, for God's sake, why is he there? But, has anyone seen that video of that old woman complaining about Quality Street? If you don't know what Quality Street is, which, I don't know, I imagine probably quite a few of you will. But Quality Street is a brand of chocolates. Usually they do sort of big tins. A bit like Cadbury's Roses or Celebrations. That sort of thing. I'm sure, you know, in other countries like America and Australia, you guys probably have, you know, alternatives, equivalents of the likes of Quality Street or Cadbury's Roses and things like that. But Quality Street, you know, recently the company that makes them decided to start doing things a little bit differently with their product. They changed the wrappers on their individual chocolates from plastic to paper, and, you know, the reason for doing so is nominally quite understandable, because, you know, plastic waste. Because the thing is, you know, you get a tin of Quality Street, every single chocolate in there is individually wrapped. So, you know, that's a lot of plastic wrapping, basically, in one tin. And, of course, if you're selling lots and lots of tins, particularly around Christmas time, things like that, you know, they tend to sell a lot. I'm sure you can imagine that's a lot of plastic waste that is being made. So Quality Street, you know, the company took the decision, we're going to replace plastic wrapping with paper wrapping, because obviously paper is more environmentally friendly. But, oh my goodness, the amount of people on social media who got so irrationally triggered by this is unbelievable. And the one that really epitomised it was this viral video of an old woman who'd got this Quality Street tin and was basically all like, this is a travesty, I'm never going to buy Quality Street ever again. And she was really grumpy about it. I was just like, really? Are you really that angry? Just made me sit there and go, you know, I know it's cliche to say, but this feels like real first world problems and all that. But people, I don't know, I find people will often find the stupidest things to complain about. It's ridiculous. Like I say, the reasoning behind this change is perfectly noble and understandable, but for some reason people just get in an absolute tiz over it, in an absolute tiz over what essentially amounts to nothing, and it is kind of stupid. Really is pretty stupid. But, you know, I sometimes find the truth of the world is that there are people who will just complain about anything and everything. They'll just, you know, insist that everything is better their way, and anybody who changes that is apparently just doing something utterly terrible in their eyes. It's ridiculous, though, because people on online were sort of pointing out that with Quality Street, they never used to always be plastic wrappings. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. They never always used to have plastic wrapping. was something like prior to, I think, like 1936 or whatever, they actually did used to use proper paper wrapping. So when people, complain about how, oh, this is not Quality Street anymore, it's not like it was in the good old days, well, no, they're going back even further, ladies and gents, for your information and all that. But it's just so silly. It's just, I can't. It was one of those videos. I watched it a bit of it rather, and I just could not tell if what I was watching, if it was meant to be satire, or if this woman was just full on being serious. And I was like, this is the biggest non-issue ever. It really is. I don't see why people are getting their knickers in a twist. But the thing is, it's not just the woman in the video. All the people like in the comments as well, for example, were all agreeing with her. And I was like, for God's sake, grow the hell up, stop moaning. It's not that big a change, it's not that serious. Just friggin' calm down, all of you. Pull them away so I can go and investigate their little cottage. That's how you do things. Looks like they have to path right round through these walls and fences and whatever else have you. See, now that's how you use a trombone in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Especially since I don't typically use them actually all that often, but... Alright, take that over there. Direct them further out. There we go. That's how you do it. Ooh. Nope. Ah, T. There we go. Perfect. Oh god. Have another of those. Distract. Okay, perfect stealth. So yes, that's the Quality Street debacle, ladies and gentlemen. That's the big sort of viral video news of 2024 so far. And honest to God, yeah, it's one of those things. Like I say, it's just a video where I watched it and I could not tell. Is this satire, or is she being serious? Is she seriously getting grumpy about this? But people, yeah, there's a certain, I think, type of person in the world who, as I say, just they get grumpy about anything. It reminds me of something else actually. When I'm sort of, visiting friends and family back up north during certain times of the year. And, I suppose this could be the case for people in many countries around the world. But when you switch on the TV and you tune into the news, and of course, a lot of the news is always just depressing, isn't it? It's just, war this, economic, inflation, recession that, environmental problems this, criminal behaviour that. So, what I often see that a lot of news channels sometimes like to do is, they like to get through all the sort of, how should I say, the more depressing stuff first, in terms of the news, and then sometimes what they might like to do is just put a little sort of more light-hearted story, something at the end, something a bit more cheerful. And I fully understand that, because the truth is, if you're just constantly bombarding your viewers with negativity and negative news stories, there'll just come a point where everyone will be so depressed, and genuinely, people's mental health is going to be friggin' just down in the dumps, isn't it? But having a nice sort of more light-hearted or pleasant news story can just help to balance that out, And so, it reminded me, when I was visiting relatives over Christmas 2023, there was a one day where I was visiting relatives and we had the TV on in the background and it was on the news, and there was just some little sort of news item or story or something about Christmas music. This is like the nation's favourite Christmas music or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was, but in essence the key point was it was a more light-hearted news story. It was warmer, more pleasant. Basically not your usual sort of, another person was stabbed in South London today, or something like that. Or another, economists are warning of rampant inflation caused by terrible wars and conflicts going on in the friggin' Middle East or wherever. It was not one of those. It was a nice, pleasant story. And of course, one of my relatives sat there, was like, oh, why is this on news? This ain't news. And I'm like, sat there thinking, for God's sake, people sit there and complain that the news is always depressing, but when they put something light-hearted on, they sit there and complain that, oh, what's this on news for? This ain't news or anything. And I'm like, sat there thinking, what do you want? Do you just want to be fucking depressed 24/7 by the crap that's going on in the world? Or do you want maybe a nice, warm reminder that actually, for all the problems in the world, there are also sources of pleasantry and happiness, and just things that make you feel a bit warm and fuzzy on the inside? But that's the thing, again, I think it's like I say, there's a certain type of person in the world that always just likes to grumble about everything. The irony of the course of this video is that I'm sort of doing it now, in grumbling about those people. Which, just to be self-aware, I am aware that, that's how it could come across. But I think still it's a valid point to raise, nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen. So, next time you're on TV... Oh, no, next time you're on TV... I mean, next time you're watching TV, ladies and gentlemen, and you're watching the news, and you see all the depressing stuff going on in the world, and then suddenly they put in some random and, admittedly not always seemingly quite big story, next time you sit there and start poo-pooing it, and going, ugh, this isn't news, why the hell is this on the news? Well, just sit there and maybe, like I say, be thankful that that is what's on, and it's not something else that is just depressing and horrible. Sometimes I think people, need to remember that there is cause for optimism in the world, ladies and gentlemen. I suppose that's really the kind of theme, or the kind of central idea that I'm getting at here in this video. Because Lord knows, 2023 has been 2023 has obviously been a year of all sorts of, how should I say, different events and stories. And what I mean by that is, some which are, of course, more negative, and which are cause for concern, but also some which are much more positive, and which still give us reason to be hopeful about the future. And I know sometimes, with the diet, particularly of really sort of negative information and news that you get on things like the internet and social media, it can be hard to sort of stay optimistic or stay hopeful sometimes. Particularly, especially, I'm not denying, of course, that this is an issue or anything. On the contrary, I do believe it is an issue. But, obviously climate change being the big one, concerns about how the natural environment is being impacted by, for example, certain human activities, and how that might cause severe changes that could have ramifications for, of course, not just the natural world, but also human society. True, that is an issue. But of course, it's one of those things which a lot of people, because you're sort of often saturated and bombarded with quite negative stories about how, everything's going to pot and things like that, it can be hard to sometimes remain hopeful. Lord knows, I'm pretty sure, I don't know how sort of true this is as a general rule, but, you look at some news reports, Gen Z, for example, some of the younger generations today, a lot of their, they have a lot of anxieties related to do with the environment and the climate when, they're basically just fed quite a sort of constant diet of really quite depressing news stories, things that suggest that the future is looking quite bleak. And I would say, don't get me wrong, sure, there's a lot of risks in today's world, a lot of reasons, things that we need to be concerned about, absolutely. I'm not going to deny that for 1 second. But I do think sometimes you need to kind of, how should I say, get out of that cycle of constantly being fed negative news stories, and you have to look for the positives in the world as well, because there are ones out there, Science and our understanding of the environment is continually advancing as we go along, as we learn new data and we figure new things out. And so, alongside that, the world's engineers are doing a good job of slowly but surely perfecting green technologies. Wind and solar power, for example, are continually advancing. They are steadily getting better and better. And we are figuring potential solutions out. And, getting away from climate and environment for a bit, sticking with science, you look at some of the scientific research that's going on in the world at the moment in terms of the medical field, in terms of space and aerospace, things like that. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the world that is very, very interesting. I always say scientific news often is one of those where if you're ever feeling kind of down and depressed about things that are going on in the world, go and try looking at science news. Now, granted, there will be a fair share of more negative stories from the scientific field, again, but cautions about environment, cautions about climate change, about pollution, blah blah blah, cautions about COVID or medical problems or whatever else have you going on in the world at the moment. But there'll also be tons of stuff to be optimistic about, stuff that's also much more interesting. So I would say don't lose sight of that, ladies and gentlemen. In essence, I suppose this is kind of like a more motivational episode of Syria Being Hunted, this one, isn't it? Innit just, folks? So, take it from me. There's always more than one way of looking at the world. And I don't just say that as a general red strategist, a weirdo on YouTube playing video games. I say that as my true self, old Andrew, the academic, from his international relations and security field, from a social scientific field where usually, dealing with social issues and there's more than one way of looking at things. I think, if there's one thing that I'm quite thankful for in my life, it is, there's lots of things in my life that I'm thankful for, don't get me wrong, but if I had to say one of them that's kind of connected to what we're talking about at the moment, probably would be, the fact that I had a chance to really learn academic skills at university, not just through my undergraduate degree, but also I'm thankful that, I got the chance to do a master's and then a PhD, because I really feel like, as an academic, learning academic ways of thinking has kind of really enabled me sometimes to take a more, tempered view of things that are going on in life. What I mean by that is, whenever there's negative news stories, I can always sort of temper that with other bits of information in order to try and sort of understand that, not everything that's going on in the world at the moment is depressing. There are some reasons for optimism. And similarly, when dealing with complex political issues at the moment, academic skills help you sort of sometimes see through quite simplistic monocausal explanations that are often themselves quite depressing. So yes, I'm thankful for that, ladies and gentlemen. Very thankful. Right, let's get this final device piece here so we've cleared out this island. That alarm clock should go off at any secondo. Where them robots at? There they are. 3. You both off? Has one of you turned around now? You're both going off. Sometimes you just got to watch out these robots when they turn around randomly. Things like that. Oh god. That's almost generated inside the tree there. Oh, right. Balsies. Need to just do some inventory management. There we go. I just had the perfect space for it. The remaining in my inventory. How very satisfactory. No. Stop. No, great. Oh, great. They're everywhere. Fucking robots. Ow. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Guys, can you please just be thankful for what's going on in the world? Jesus. Don't be like that now. They buggered off. Oh god, they're still coming. I need to shake them off before I do anything else. Is they lost the bugger? Ah, you lost me, thank god. Okay, if I just sit here, it might be alright. Always got bottles as well that I can throw to distract them if need be. Where are you going, buddy? You need to turn around and go back the way you came. Oh, don't come this direction, you get. Right, I'm ready to throw a bottle if need be. Take that. There we go, I distracted. Oh! Okay, they're having a shootout with each other, and that's pulling his attention away, thank God. Okay, well, whilst you're off over there, I'm just going to zip over here and deposit this one. Boom. Fantastic, okay. Save game. I think actually that's probably a good place to wrap this video up, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 624 of Say Being Hunted with me, General Red Strategist. I suppose the big lesson, the big message of today's episode is, you know, for all the problems in the world, there is still reason to maintain some optimism, ladies and gentlemen. And that, I think, is the most important thing of all. So, yes. There you go, folks. Facebook to the links down below, along with the link to my propagandist channel for anyone interested. If you enjoyed, a like is of course always appreciated and all that. Other than that, I'm going to sign off now. Goodbye, everybody. It's fascinating. Really interesting. I mean, I think we talked to both these characters last time as Kaide. Well, let's talk to Sayaka, because Kamaru's like a big Sayaka fan, isn't she? That could be an interesting dynamic. Oh, some Sayaka fan service going on here. Sayaka was just trying to have a swim at the beach and Kamaru's come up to try and bother her. There's something the matter, Miss Naegi. The Sayaka said my name. Now's not the time to fangirl out, Kamaru. I'm sorry for acting like we're good friends and calling you by your first name, love. Like I said when we first met, I'm a huge fan of yours. So I kind of lost my mind being so close to the Sayaka. Oh, I did it again. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm seriously not trying to act like a weirdo. I'm so embarrassed.
I'm so happy.
I don't mind how you address me, in fact...